Come on now, fellas. We've got to answer the bell. Now let's go.
Welcome in to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We are in the Lee Company studio, and I'm Chris Yow. He's Mo Patton, despite what the pennant may have told you earlier.
Don't believe the pennants.
Not always. But, man, what a great show. Looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a special guest host who is – we're trying to ease him in to this so that you guys get used to seeing our new special guest host, because he'll be here with us all week and starting Friday. So, yeah.
I mean, at what point does a special guest host
just become a guest host
to be special or a guest?
At that point, right? So, looking forward to Wade Neely joining us here in just a few moments. We've also got Virgil Herring. Talk a little Masters. It is Tuesday, and the Masters are just about ready to go. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll also, of course, talk with Chip Walters. It's Tuesday. We do that every Tuesday, except when it's not Tuesday. But if you know, you know. And we also have Top 5 Tuesday. And our Top 5 today should be fun. I've got a list of about 11 or 12 over here. Worst calls in sports history. So we'll draft our worst calls in sports history, and yeah, that should be fun. I've got a couple that I know are on Mo's list. I'm gonna try to steal from him. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
I would not steal at least one of them.
Mm-mm.
So anyway, yeah. So let's get into.
Let me ask you this: have you been monitoring my
searches?
Twitter the last 24 hours?
Oh no, I haven't. So that may not be where I'm going, but
yeah. Okay.
Let's just.
It'll be fun.
It's gonna be really fun. All right, so we got all of that and much more coming your way. But before we do anything else, Mo, let's get our results and schedule out of the way and bring you the rundown.
This is the rundown.
High school baseball action from Monday night. Nolensville blanked Brentwood 11-0 at Hawkins Field. It was McGavock with a 10-0 win over Cheatham County. Also, Clarksville 10, Springfield 0. Some rough offensive outings for some folks. Collinwood with a 13-3 win over Culleoka. Summit downed host Columbia Central 11-1. Columbia Academy with a 9-0 win over Webb School of Bell Buckle. Logan County, Kentucky 15, East Robertson 9. Fairview 5, White House Heritage 0. Centennial with a 7-0 win over Franklin. Good Pasture defeated Davidson Academy 10-4. Hendersonville with a 1-0 win over Gallatin. Overton defeated Hillsborough 15-1. Page with a 3-0 victory over Lawrence County. Martin Luther King edged Hillwood 5-4. It was Middle Tennessee Christian 8, Providence Christian 0. White House with a 3-2 win over Montgomery Central. Loretto 11, Mount Pleasant 0. Murfreesboro Central 17, Maplewood 0. Clarksville Academy 15, Nashville Christian 1. Ravenwood handed Independence TBCA Class 4A number 1 Independence their second loss of the season, 3-2 last night. It was Rossview 9, Henry County 5. Smyrna with a pair of wins over Cane Ridge, 8-3 and 14-4. Spring Hill with a 3-1 win over Marshall County. Beach defeated Station Camp 8-2. It was Lewis County 4, Summertown 3. Sycamore with a 6-2 win over county rival Harpeth. Wayne County blanked Hampshire 10-0, and Watertown with a 9-7 win over Westmoreland.
In softball action, it was Beach 15-4 winners over Station Camp and Good Pasture 11-1 over Clarksville Academy. It was Columbia 4, Richland nothing. Columbia Academy a 6-2 winner over Dixon County. Eagleville down Zion Christian 14-3, and Springfield was a 15-4 winner over Gallatin. Trousdale County was 8. Hendersonville with 5. Lincoln County trouncing Lawrence County 22-1. Liberty Creek edging White House 7-6. It was Mars Hill Bible of Alabama 8-4 winners over Loretto. McGavick blanks Mount Juliet Christian 14-0, and Wilson Central was a 12-3 winner over Riverdale. In boys soccer action, it was White House 5, Portland 0. Major League Baseball. Braves double up the Cardinals 8-4, and the Padres walk it off against the Diamondbacks 5-4. Ryan Weathers does not get a decision, but
Should have.
He did pitch very well, yes. And it wasn't his fault he didn't get the decision. That's neither here nor there. And on the ice, the Stars pretty well took care of the Preds, 5-1.
Baseball action today. 4 o'clock starts for Joe Burns at Christian Community, Overton at Hillsboro, Martin Luther King at Hillwood, Hunters Lane hosting McGavick, Stewart's Creek hosting Antioch, Lipscomb Academy visiting Brentwood Academy. That's a 4:30 start. Also at 4:30, Mount Juliet Christian at Donaldson Christian, Christ Presbyterian Academy at Ensworth, Murfreesboro Central at Maplewood, Montgomery Bell Academy hosting Canton of Illinois, Columbia Academy going to Webb of Bell Buckle. At 5 o'clock, Good Pastures at Davidson Academy. Zion Christian is at Franklin Road Christian. Father Ryan is at Pope Prep. 5:30 starts for Wayne County at Hampshire. Creekwood at Liberty Creek. Richland at Santa Fe. Nashville Christian at Clarksville Academy is a 6 o'clock start. Also at 6 is Green Hill at Cookville. Culleoka hosting Collinwood. Friendship Christian at Ezel Harding, Sycamore at Harpeth, Mount Juliet at Lebanon, Lewis County hosting Summertown, Loretto hosting Mount Pleasant, Brentwood traveling to Oakland, Rockvale hosting Riverdale, Blackman at Siegel, Columbia Central at Summit, and Westmoreland at Watertown.
At 6:30 tonight, you can catch Franklin at Centennial, and Giles County will be at Covenant Christian of Alabama. Henry County is at home against Rossview, and Independence hosts Ravenwood. Spring Hill goes to Marshall County. Lawrence County is at Page. Springfield hosting Clarksville. Providence Christian at home against Middle Tennessee Christian at 7 o'clock. It's Station Camp at Beach, Hendersonville at Gallatin, Tennessee Heat and the Middle Tennessee Monarchs, and Greenbrier at Portland. Montgomery Central at White House, and White House Heritage hosting Fairview. In softball action at 4:30 this afternoon, Mount Pleasant's at Fayetteville. Good Pastures at home against Friendship Christian. Murfreesboro Central goes to Hillwood for a doubleheader, and Gallatin is at McGavick.
At 5 o'clock, Zion Christian is at Franklin Road Christian on the pitch. I'm sorry, on the diamond. Excuse me. Skipped ahead. South Haven Christian's at Clarksville Christian. Ezel Harding is at Donaldson Christian. Joe Burns hosts Davidson Academy. Wayne County goes to Loretto for a pair at 5. Liberty Creek is at Montgomery Central. Brentwood is at Nolensville. Summertown hosting Giles County. Cannon County travels to Westmoreland. Greenbrier is at White House. At 5:30, Summit hosting Dixon County. A lot of blue and orange there. Richland is at Collinwood at 6. Cane Ridge is at Stewart's Creek at 6. At 6:30, Smyrna's at Laverne, and Oakland hosts Siegel. On the pitch, University School of Nashville is at Clarksville Academy. That's a 5 o'clock first touch. Also at 5, Hickman County is at Columbia Academy, and Ezel Harding is at Donaldson Christian. And Franklin Grace is at Middle Tennessee Christian. 5:30, Loretto is at Wayne County.
At 6 o'clock on the pitch at Smyrna at Cookville, and Creekwood hosting Nashville Christian. Tullahoma will be at Giles County, and Hillsboro is at John Overton. Lawrence County is at home against Marshall County. Westmoreland taking on Stratford at home. Greenbrier is at Watertown, and at 6:30 it's Hunters Lane at Antioch. At 7 o'clock tonight, Hendersonville will be at Beach. East Robertson welcomes Merrill Hyde. Siegel's at Independence, and Lebanon goes to Laverne. Lincoln County is hosting Page, while Father Ryan goes to Oakland. Cascade is also at Riverdale. In college baseball today, Western Kentucky is at Vanderbilt, 6 p.m. start on SEC Network. Plus, Major League Baseball tonight, Braves are at the Cardinals. That's on Valley Sports South at 6:45. NHL tonight, the Golden Knights of Vegas will be at Bridgestone Arena, take on the Preds at 7 o'clock. Puck drop on ESPN, nationally televised.
That's lovely.
Yeah. Exactly. And in the association, the Trailblazers of Portland will be at the the Memphis Grizzlies. Also a 7 p.m. start on Valley Sports Southeast, and that is your rundown. All right. Now we welcome in the third member of our team, Wade Neely. Wade, what's up, buddy?
Man, just glad that I didn't have to tackle the rundown today. You guys make it look effortless every single time, and today was no different.
It is something to tackle. There's
Enjoy
no
it.
doubt. So you better get ready because I'm not
Mhm.
saying it all on Friday.
Yeah, it ain't that bad. Appreciate you taking some time with us. Nice gear there.
Yeah,
Mr. Neely.
not bad. Masters weekend coinciding with Easter weekend, and it's about
The
that
color
time.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're
Now,
We're
will you be wearing red on Sunday? Wait.
I feel like those days, unfortunately, are gone. But it will be fun to see if Tiger can kind of, maybe get into a little bit of condition. I was just reading an article saying if you're a potential bettor this weekend, not necessarily looking to win, maybe not even top 10, got to be thinking maybe like top 20 is a more realistic, achievable goal for Tiger. But that guy plays well at Augusta National. Just something about that course. He just seems to find a way.
It's true.
And he's always interesting to watch.
That's the key right there. Is he's interesting to watch, and folks will be tuning in, no doubt. And we're going
To watch.
We're going to talk a little more Masters here in just a moment with Virgil Herring. But our top story today comes from obviously last night. UConn, its fifth national title with the 17-point win over San Diego State. Was this the most dominant tournament by a single team in tournament history?
Well, I mean, what they win all 5 of their games by 15 plus? Is that right?
Yeah, and I just I don't know that I've ever seen anybody do that before.
That's pretty crazy.
So, I mean, look,
As a what? 4 seed?
Yes.
Certainly didn't play like one.
They
we've
played.
not talked about it. We've kind of talked around it, but we've not talked about it. I mean, did the committee do a bad job, or did some teams just get some good matchups?
I'll tell you what I think. I think UConn was underseeded for one, and based off their non-conference schedule. And then, of course, they play in the Big East, which is at least one of the top 3 conferences, if not top 2. But the draw that they got after Kansas goes down to Arkansas. And then Arkansas loses its starting center. So they don't have to play Arkansas at full strength. They played Gonzaga, and who was there? They had a West Coast Conference team in the opening round as well. And then, you get Miami, who, yes, won the ACC, but obviously not Texas or Houston in the Final Four, especially considering that, Houston would have been at home. I mean, basically. So you don't have to, I mean, those are things that you have to kind of look at. Yes, Connecticut's path to the championship was certainly not the most difficult in history, but that's not their fault.
No, and I didn't want to make it seem as though it was. I mean, I'm not trying to discredit UConn. I'm just saying that, when you see a Final Four with what, a 4, a 5, a 9, and what was the other?
8, right?
Yeah. I mean, just makes you wonder. I think. I mean, it's worth talking about. I think were some teams underseeded, were some teams overseeded. Just what happened there. I'd be interested to know what the committee thinks about the bracket that they put together now that it's been completed.
That would be a fun press conference, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that would be an interesting way for, kind of like a debrief at the end of the year.
Right.
Have Reese Davis, do his thing, kind of like he does with what's the guy from the college football committee each week. I mean, it would be cool to kind of see that. I'd be down for it.
I'd enjoy it.
Yeah, and I just keep remembering everybody coming into the tournament saying this is going to be one of the wilder tournaments we've ever seen because no team was truly quote unquote dominant all year long, and it lived up to that reputation. Certainly, it seemed like.
Yeah, until Connecticut was dominant all tournament.
Other than Connecticut, it seemed like expect the unexpected was the best bet of the whole tournament.
Yeah, that was, and honestly, Mo, when I said Connecticut was going to go to the Final Four, I certainly didn't see. I didn't think that they would have the route that they had, but it certainly didn't hurt once we got to the Elite Eight, and you're getting Gonzaga, which I thought was fantastic. I thought they were a good basketball team, but no match for UConn. I saw something. UConn since 1999 is like 10-1 in Final Four games. 10-1.
Well,
with 5 national titles.
They've won 5 national titles, all of those since 99, and no one else has more than 3.
UConn is probably one of the more dominant programs of my lifetime. And I just, you think about blue bloods and you think, Indiana and those type schools, but Indiana hasn't won a Final Four games in 25 years. They've won 1 in 25 years. And that was, I don't even remember, early 2000s. Mm-hmm. So to me, I think UConn has kind of solidified itself, and this is not the same team, not the same coaches. I mean,
right.
The program itself has solidified itself as a dominant program in this sport, and you've got to reward that sometimes.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was rewarded. Maybe that's why they got a 4. I don't know. But they were certainly men playing against boys for 6 games here in the postseason.
So this is the second time UConn has won a national championship in Houston, by the way. They defeated Butler 53-41 when they, I guess, 8-seeded Butler.
Sounds right.
And what was that, 2011? So, I mean, maybe they just like playing in Houston. Houston Final Fours, those tournaments, just go ahead and pencil in UConn all the way for the future. Just FYI.
Just
put a futures bet down. On.
Yeah, I'm squirreling that away for later, no doubt.
I mean, I'm just saying, the Final Four's in Houston this year. UConn, where's that futures bet? Oh, they're plus 3,000. Give it to me. Making all kind of money. Oh man. Well, we've got, again, we are going to get into some golf here in just a minute. As you can see, Wade is our resident golf guy with his
by default
gear
as much as anything.
Yeah, pretty much. But we, of course, will have Virgil Herring join us here in just a few minutes. He's in Augusta, right?
I believe so.
Well, that's exciting. So we'll talk to him and get his thoughts and his read. He is he's always a fun guy to talk to, and always knows more than we will ever know. But we'll take our first break of the day and come back with Virgil on the other side here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stick around, the Lee Company studio. We'll be back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint to the Lee Company studio. We are coming, or from the Lee Company studio, we are coming to you. It is a beautiful day here in southern Middle Tennessee. Not sure how it's going up there where you're at, Mo, but it certainly is a nice day for some sports, and hopefully in Augusta it is the same way. Wade, what are you looking for this week? What are you excited to see in Augusta?
You know, I've got a couple notes jotted down for when we get Virgil on here. And my biggest question is, we finally, it seems like, have Brooks Koepka playing back to his old form before he was injured. And before he suffered an injury, he was the hottest ticket on the planet. His form was just out of control. It seems like he's kind of regathered that. That's what I'm going to be real curious to see. And then, kind of like Mo touched on earlier, I mean, Tiger constantly moves the needle. And just as a big fan of nostalgia, if he comes out and can play in any sort of semi-competitive capacity, obviously hoping he just makes the cut and gets you to the weekend. And just seeing him out on the course on the weekend would just be fantastic. So for me personally, I'm just curious to see how Koepka pans out. I really love to see Tiger do well. And then, you know, Scotty Scheffler, kind of a semi-unassuming defending Masters champ. You know, he's kind of just a guy, even though he's ranked the best, you know, he's tops in the world. He seems, just to the layperson, just seems like he goes about his business, nothing super flashy. Be curious to see what kind of performance he has. Are we looking at a possible repeat this year from him?
Well, with that, we will go to the Real Property Solutions hotline. Real Property Solutions is a local real estate investment group that will pay cash for all types of properties. They can close on your timeline, whether it's 7 days or 70. You can give them a call at 615-805-5961. That's 615-805-5961. On the Real Property Solutions hotline is two-time Tennessee PGA Teacher of the Year, 3-time bestseller, and director of golf at Ensworth School is Virgil Herring. Virgil, welcome in.
Thanks for having me on, gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Virgil, for joining us. Sounds like you had a little bit of a technological issue early on, but appreciate you fighting through it.
I know you're shocked that Apple and Google might fight.
Well, there you go. Hey, how are things in Augusta?
Well, I would say that they're preparing in weather that they're not going to see. And maybe the first day is going to be warm, but it's going to rain, but it's going to get progressively colder. It's going to get wet, and that's going to make the conditions very interesting to see how they play, especially on the weekend, because I would expect to go from 85 to 55 in 2 days and rain. That's going to challenge them.
That's that challenge particularly with wet weather, Virgil. I mean, how does that impact the field as a whole? I mean, I know in football, wet conditions typically favor the underdog. How does that work in golf?
Well, that's interesting. So, like when you're playing golf in wet conditions, oftentimes you lose a little bit of control of your golf ball. I mean, not a ton, but definitely enough to make you're not quite sure how far the ball is going to carry, because when water gets in between the ball and the grooves, it creates less spin and the ball goes farther. And on Augusta National's greens, which are very nuanced and have very specific landing areas, it definitely is going to lend itself to the person who predicts best how it's going to come out. I would say that when it's wet and cold, that is when we've seen the short hitters win, like Zach Johnson and Mike Weir did. Wet conditions, kind of cold, north wind blowing, because it generally makes all the par fives unreachable for everybody or not a wise decision. And that plays into the people who've been laying up all their lives instead of the guys that have been going at par fives and 2 with 5 and 6 irons. Now they can't do that. It totally levels out the playing field a little bit.
That makes a lot of sense, Virgil. It's one of those tournaments, though. This particular tournament is just always something different. It's always there's something that is going to change your game plan. It's really hard to game plan for Augusta no matter what, and so that just seems like it's another wrench in the pot. On top of that, you've got a lot of guys who are going to be playing in this tournament who aren't playing on the PGA Tour, so they're kind of doing a lot of different style of golf, playing in a different tour. How does that affect these guys, or does it at all, since they're all former winners of this tournament?
In my opinion, it doesn't have anything to do with anything. I think that this is one of the most ridiculously over talked about and under impactful topics in the history of reporting golf. At the end of the day, if you don't think Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, or Cameron Smith can play 72 holes of great golf, then you haven't been watching golf. And whether they're playing, whether you're playing golf against 144 players or 48 players, I know that the depth of the LIV Tour is not nearly as strong as the PGA Tour, but I would be fair to say that the top 25 players are very, very worthy. And, there are plenty of events on the PGA Tour that happen every year where there aren't 25 legit stars playing. So I don't really buy into it that much. I think that at the end of the day, the LIV Tour is probably going to die out if they don't get World Golf Ranking points. So we'll see what happens there. But there aren't many people that are playing on the LIV Tour that I think are legitimate contenders to the event. But I would say that DJ Koepka and Cameron Smith are at the very top of that list. That's for sure.
Yeah, Virgil, I was curious just on Koepka in particular. We saw that guy just essentially all but win, every single tournament right before he got injured a couple of years ago. It seems like he's finally got his groove back, so to speak. What can we expect out of Brooks coming into this weekend?
I still think that the jury's out because, the beginning of what I call the end, also it was the beginning of the end for Francesco Molinari, which was 2019 Masters with the major championship in his hand, hits the ball in the water on hole 12. And much like Molinari, hasn't really recovered that fine from that particular point. And then you factor in injuries, and these tour players, they try to play through the injury. And ultimately, it creates different muscle patterns because the body wants to not feel the pain. So they make subtle compensations that ultimately allow them to lose what made them so great. And then I know that most people can't believe this, but these tour players are generally really fragile. And when that game starts to slip away, they feel like maybe this is the end. And they can spiral out of control. And if you watch that Netflix series on Brooks Koepka, you see how fragile some of the best players in the world are. As soon as their greatness slips through their fingertips just for a minute, it can freak them out.
Yeah, I'm personally excited to see what he can potentially do. I'm also just kind of curious, who's maybe someone outside of the top 10 or top 20 in the world golf rankings, who's a big dark horse we could look at potentially winning this thing? Who maybe could we throw a dart at this weekend?
Well, I would probably say Cameron Young is the leader in the clubhouse on that particular part for me. Now, whether you call him a complete dark horse, the answer I don't know, because man, he's been playing awesome golf for over a year and has had his nose in a bunch of the major championships, but he hasn't won at all. So I think that he is a legitimate threat to win, and I know that he can do it. It's just going to be a question of how well does he play in radically different conditions on a golf course that he's not all that familiar with. That'll be the real question for Cameron Young.
Other point or thought that entered my brain is seems like every year Augusta National we find somebody that maybe either's not playing very well or hasn't been kind of out of the picture, and then you find them at the top 10 after day one, day two. Why is this course in particular so favorable for that few select guys that just seems like they can play it well? Obviously, we're going to chat a little bit about Tiger too. Seems like why do these guys have that course just figured out, which is regarded, as one of the tougher courses in the country?
Well, what a thoughtful question. That always changes, right? So we got to remember that we're talking about the greatest players in the world that have their senses aroused at the highest level. They're going to have it all year for the Masters, and they can get it going. And they're all really good. It's just that some of them don't have a 4-round pedigree, but every single one of those guys has a 1, 2, or a 3-round pedigree. It's just the great champions that are able to pull it off under the most intense pressure. So to me, I would say why is because when the golf course is played correctly and strategically, you can get it. But it is the greatest risk-reward golf course on the planet, and it tantalizes the great players who are hitting it good to take on risks to get an eagle or a birdie on a hole that don't many people birdie. But if you just barely miss, you're in big trouble at Augusta National.
Speaking with Virgil Herring on Main Street Sports Day and the Real Property Solutions Hotline. Virgil, I want to kind of go away from the guys we all know and talk about somebody that some of us may know of, but most everybody else in the world has not heard of yet, and that is the top-ranked amateur golfer in the world, Gordon Sargent, 19-year-old out of Vanderbilt University in Birmingham, Alabama. Do you know anything about Gordon? And if not, what is it like for a 19-year-old to step foot on Augusta National and have to play this tournament?
Well, I don't teach Gordon, but I have definitely watched him play. He is a Ferrari. He swings it probably swings it faster than everybody on the tour. He's obviously that makes him then probably the longest player out there, as he was out driving Justin Thomas by 40 yards yesterday.
Jeez.
But at the end of the day, what's he going to expect? Well, I remember in 2004 when I was coaching Brant Snedeker, he was so nervous he had a hard time putting his ball on the first tee. I would tell you, and Brant tell you that he couldn't feel his hands until the 7th tee. So there's a level of nerve that, first of all, you're 19 years old, and I guarantee it's been a lifetime dream for him. And now he's playing, and I can't believe I'm here. And I hope this isn't the only time. And he's overwhelmed with the moment and how quickly he can get back into, I'm a golfer and I'm here to do business. That's the ultimate test for all these kids. Now, these 19-year-olds are definitely different than they were 25 years ago. But at the end of the day, when you've chased a dream and all of a sudden it's right there at 19 years old, I expect him to be really nervous, but I guarantee he'll never forget it'll be the greatest moment of his life.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. I mean, he's been fantastic. First freshman to win NCAA tournament and since 2007. So certainly a storyline to watch. And of course, the biggest storyline there is in golf for folks who don't watch golf is Tiger Woods. It's
which is where I come in.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, Virgil, with everything that Tiger has been through, I mean, clearly people still watch to see what he's doing if he's there. So, I mean, what are your expectations out of him with everything that has gone on with him over the past whatever?
I would probably say I would expect moments of brilliance. I believe that the weather, the temperature change are going to be more challenging for him than anybody else. And I believe that if there's a golf course that a miracle could happen, I believe that it's Augusta National and the old course in St. Andrews. And I don't expect that to happen because I can't believe that he can be competitively sharp enough only playing one event in the last 8 months. And I would say I've also learned the rule to not ever doubt Tiger Woods, but it's getting harder and harder to believe that he can pull it off with how difficult the walk is. And I'm not convinced that he's even close to 100% on his right leg. So there are some lies, some shots that he has to play from how the earth sits that are going to be really taxing to his right leg, and how well he overcomes that for 4 straight days in significant temperature change, which are really difficult on it, not only his leg, but his back. We'll see. I mean, obviously, I'm not sure that there can be a greater story in sports than if he won this Masters, but I don't expect to see it.
Would tie the record of 6.
It would tie the record, but more than anything, I think.
Yeah, just
I just think he's had 3 of the most incredible victories in all of sports. Like, I would say that the greatest victory I've ever seen is when he won the U.S. Open by 2 touchdowns. And then I would say that the greatest comeback ever is the 2019 Masters. And if he wins this quintuples the comeback of 2019 in the most unbelievable thing we've ever seen. And I mean, I guess in some ways, who else deserves that kind of label than Tiger Woods?
Well, with that said, Virgil, you know, with the physical issues that he's got going on, with the weather, with everything else, is it possible that he misses the cut?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because if you're talking about at least 50 players that have played probably 3 of the last 4 weeks and are in way sharper shape than him and way better physical condition than him, yeah, I mean, for certain. But what Tiger Woods has is that he's got as much experience around that golf course as anybody. His swing is still beautiful, and he does wear a cape. So at the end of the day, Superman has the ability to do things with less than anybody we've ever seen. That's what we're here. Guess what we're going to find out this week is how good is he, even on one leg at maybe 65 or 70%.
Well, if there's anybody that I'm betting on, if I'm having to bet on somebody that's going to understand how far they can hit the ball, and the person who, as you said in the beginning of this thing, has to make that determination on where the ball is going to go, Tiger would be among the people on the short list. So.
Oh, without a doubt. And actually, I'm saying, like, literally, he might be the greatest iron player ever. And, you know, I could argue that all the way up to 3-wood. He might be the best player from 3-wood to lob wedge that's ever walked the face of the earth. And certainly it could get done. And I think that once again, if his leg can withstand the severe slopes that he has to play off of for 4 straight days, he still has the game. But even at Riviera back in February, you could tell that it was
struggling. Virgil Herring with us here on the Real Property Solutions Hotline on Main Street Sports today. Virgil, as always, it's a pleasure. enjoy this week and know it's one of the best weeks there is for guys like you. And we're looking forward to catching it over the weekend in Augusta.
It's a national holiday for us pros. So this is the greatest week of sports there is, in my opinion. So good for us. And I will look forward to seeing what happens. And I look forward to being on your show again real soon to discuss it.
Hey, Virgil, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Virgil.
All right, we will take a quick break here, and when we come back, talk a little baseball and more on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bar and Joint. Come back to the Lee Company studio with us after this.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
April 4th, 1974, and I'm stalling because I didn't have the screen called up. Good news, Hank Aaron ties Babe Ruth's career record of 714 home runs with his 3-run shot off Jack Billingham in the top of the first inning. Bad news, it wasn't enough as the host Reds rallied for 4 runs in the 8th and 9th to force extras before walking the Braves off 7-6 in 11 innings at Riverfront Stadium. That was this day in Braves history.
Well, yesterday in Braves history, Charlie Morton gets dubbed. The Braves on the backs of what is it? Thick country, young thick. I don't even know what he's called now. Austin Riley's 473-foot monster blast. I think it was like the second longest in Busch Stadium history.
Third longest by an opposing player.
Okay. Well, it was an absolute moonshot.
Yeah. Braves nearly homered for the cycle, for the natural cycle, because Riley's solo home run was followed by a 2-run homer by Ozzie Albies, and Acuna with his second of the year, a 3-run shot. So they just needed the grand slam for the natural home run cycle in that win over St. Louis. What was it, 8-4 finally?
Yes, 8-4 was the final. Got a solid outing from Charlie Morton, and honestly, got the kind of outing that you need and expect from a guy who's going to be on the back, who's going to anchor the backside of your rotation in the 4-5 spot? At least you hope that's where he's going to be once this rotation settles in, with Max Fried potentially on the IL.
Max Fried is on the IL. It was announced this morning. He's on the 15-day IL, backdated to April 1st. Bryce Elder will make his start.
Gotcha. So you'll get Dylan Dodd tonight, and then Elder tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And
as long as the Braves leaves Strider for the opener at home, then is that right?
Mm-hmm. Leave Strider for the home opener, and should be exactly what you hope for if you're a Braves fan, to get that home opener. But honestly, Michael Soroka, by the way, making his debut tonight in Gwinnett. So
at Gwinnett,
I think it's in Gwinnett. Yes.
Mm.
So and that's an important one to keep an eye on. You got to keep an eye on that one, just to see. Now, I'm curious, Wade, who is your baseball team of choice?
The Astros are his team of choice, and so we may just have to bounce him from our Braves chatter.
Yeah, the mere mention of the Braves, I kind of got the heebie-jeebies from the World Series a couple of years ago. But
well, as well you should. Now let me ask you something. You're a Pulaski native, right?
Yes, sir.
How Houston? Now I'll preface this by saying I don't necessarily have a problem with the Astros. Never really have, other than when Chris Burke broke our hearts years and years ago in the NLCS, the XUT second baseman. But I've generally speaking not had a lot of issue with the Astros. But how does one from Pulaski, Tennessee, become an Astros fan?
That's a great question, and I guess you got to go years and years ago, back to the Giles County Little League days of a young whippersnapper himself. Mr. Neely was playing second base back then, and I turned on the TV, kind of like Craig Biggio himself, in the sense that I was, not the best second baseman, but I was decent enough at a number of positions. So I kind of bounced around in my youth. Biggio became my favorite player, and the Astros became my favorite team, and the rest is history. So I've been with them through thick and thin. It was a lot of thin for a while there, for sure. You're talking 100 lost seasons, but they definitely got some good vibes rolling. Hadn't got off to a great start. Lost to the Tigers last night. Watched a fair amount of that game.
I think the Tigers are improved from what I understand, though. Of course, it's a low bar. So,
ooh, Brady's watching, going, this guy. He's also saying he's not wrong.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I mean, stop me when I start lying. So hey, but well, it'll be nice to have a differing view on here, I guess, in terms of favorite teams, because folks that have been watching us know where our allegiances are. So.
And I'm not too different from you, Mo, in the sense I don't necessarily have a problem. I actually kind of am a low-key Braves fan, I guess. Obviously when the Astros were in the National League, it was a little bit more of a rivalry, especially like you mentioned, the Chris Burke home run, and they had tangled in the playoffs a couple of times even prior to that. I do have the distinction, though. I have been to all three of the Atlanta Braves stadiums, which was kind of a cool little feather in my cap. Got to go, to Fulton County way back in the day. And then Turner Field, and then went to Truist a couple years ago. So I'm a Braves sympathizer, if nothing else. So,
well, as you said, there have been many times when the Braves needed some sympathy. So for right now isn't one of those times, but we have that's been the case. So
161-1, by the way, still on the table.
Still on the table. Yeah,
we'll take it.
I like it. So is Dylan Dodd tonight? Is that what you
said? I would assume that Dylan Dodd is tonight if Bryce Elder is going to make Max's start. Now I don't know that to be a fact.
No, that's been announced. Now I don't know who this Matz is for St. Louis. Is that Stephen Matz? Yeah.
Yes.
Former Met Stephen Matz.
I was going to say that the former Met is is going to be pitching against us in St. Louis, which is
We'll
par for the
take
course
that.
these days.
5-3 with a 5.25 ERA last year, 50-51 career with a 4.30. So yeah, come on with it.
Home run derby.
Yeah, take it.
Travis d'Arnaud's batting average took a dive last night, but it's kind of hard to keep the 800 pace.
Hey,
So
yeah.
he was on.
I don't think he was going to hit 800 for the year. So it was fun while it lasted, though.
Yeah, 6:45 tonight on Bally Sports South. Yes, Bally Sports South. Just pick one. Keep going till you get there. Or if you're like me, buy an MLB TV subscription and pretend you're in New York.
Careful.
It works out. It is what it is. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting game because Dylan Dodd, another rookie making his debut. What to expect? We don't know. Is he going to be able to feel his fingers kind of like Brent Snedeker? I mean,
that was pretty amazing, man, to hear that.
That's a great story.
It really, well, unless you're Brent, maybe.
But so
when you're a golfer and you can't tee the ball up,
I can understand that though.
Oh, I could certainly understand it, but I mean, you would think as many big moments as he had been in leading up to that wouldn't necessarily be the case, but obviously not.
There's just something about that place.
That's wild. That's a great story.
That was great.
That's why we bring guys like Virgil Herring on Main Street Sports today. So.
There you go. And again, it's another debut. We saw Jared Schuster have a tough first inning, but calm down. If he can, if Dodd can get through the first, you feel like he's probably going to have, a solid outing based off what he did in spring training. Now you can't base everything off of spring training, obviously, but you feel like this is a guy who you kind of hope can get it done.
Well, those guys threw well down there, and that's why they broke with the big club. So we'll see what happens. But the one thing is, Braves got some arms, and you're going to see another one tomorrow with Bryce Elder, who came up and pitched in some pretty key spots last season and came through more often than not. So, looking forward to seeing these young guys and how they're able to pitch in support of the veterans.
Last night, we talked about it a little bit. Ryan Weathers goes for the Padres and gave up 2 earned runs on 5 hits. Had a really solid night.
Left with the lead. He was up 3-2 when he came out.
Left with the lead, but then a pair of home runs from the Diamondbacks put them ahead 4-3 in the 9th, but then a pair of home runs from the Padres in the bottom of the 9th. Solo shots win it. Ha-Seong Kim with the walk-off home run. But a good start to the year for Ryan Weathers, and if he's going to continue with that club, he needs to, he's going to have to continue doing what he did last night. And, that's what we've come to expect from Ryan.
Yeah, I think that's what – I think it's what San Diego has come to expect from him, or they certainly should. I mean, he's thrown well the biggest part of the time when he's taken the bump for them. And so it was nice to see him in his first start of the season do that. And hopefully he can string some together and kind of create some security for himself out there.
Wade Valdez goes for your Stros tonight against 25-year-old Matt Manning, who pitched in 12 games last year.
It was unfortunate to see him fall. It was kind of a crazy game. They were down going into the 9th, ended up tying it up, and then gave up 3 runs, I think, in the 10th or the 11th. Kind of made another little comeback and then ultimately fell just shy. So they're making it entertaining, if nothing else, I suppose, in the early part of the season.
Yeah, entertaining is not always the best thing.
Yeah. Every now and then, I just assume be bored.
Yeah, winning can be boring, but it's never boring for long, especially if you're winning at the right time. But Speaking of not boring, guys, first of all, if you weren't at the Sounds this weekend and didn't see Joey Votto hit his first pitch out of First Horizons Park, the entire First Horizon Park, hey, you missed a great series. The Sounds had a great one. But then they announced today one of the most unique things that I've ever seen. And I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but the Nashville Hot Chickens jerseys. How are we feeling about the Nashville Hot Chickens?
Those are something.
They are something. I think you hit it perfectly. Yes, they are something.
Get your Hot Chickens merch now. What, you guys going to be buying some Hot Chickens merch? Now, that green shirt I really like.
I was going to say, I like the shirts now. Those are pretty
jerseys.
sharp. Jersey got some,
Not so
leaves some
much.
room to be desired for sure.
I kind of like the logo. I like the shirt. Go back again. No.
That fourth one.
Yeah. Again. The one on the left there.
Yeah.
I would wear that.
It's solid. I mean, I like the, obviously with the idea of what we're doing in Nashville with hot chicken and kind of trying to make it our cheesesteak or pizza, or you know what I mean. You got to have something if you're gonna have a food identity. Might as well play it up. And I think everybody's kind of bought in, and I like it. I mean, to me, it's unique. It's cool. And listen, I'm a guy who doesn't mind a chicken mascot. Clearly, I've been rooting for one my whole life. So let's go for it, I guess.
There you go. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll have to see if we can find somebody that can get us some of those.
Yeah, score some merch. Do we know, my question is, are the jerseys going to be worn, and if so, when? I'd be curious to see what the players look like in those things.
Well, last year, they did the Spanish
guitars, right?
Yeah, the Spanish guitars starts with a V. I can't call it V. No.
Yeah, Vilhuelas or something like that. So
something like that.
I mean, this is, I don't know, but they'll be back home. I don't know when let's see, 2023 promotions. There's no telling when they're going to wear these things, if they're going to wear these things, but we'll talk with Jeff Him on Friday, Wade, so you can ask him then when you expect to see those. But they'll be back home for the Norfolk Tides next week, so I don't think we'll see them then, but should be fun. The Nashville Hot Chickens. How about that? Anyway,
they are in Memphis this week before they return to First Horizon Park. Is that right?
Well, hopefully they'll
be on the road
cook
2 weeks in a row.
No, they're back home in Memphis this week. Back home next Tuesday for Peanut Free Night. By the way, I want to know what they sing and take me out to the ball game on Peanut Free Night. Buy me some cotton candy and Cracker Jacks.
They just dub over that. They
just skip beyond that part.
Out.
We're good. We're good.
Buy me some Cracker Jack. Yeah.
Buy me some Cokes and Cracker Jacks. I mean, I guess I don't know.
They got Norfolk coming in next week. The Orioles AAA affiliate. So
the Orioles. I like Oreos. I mean, yeah, I love Oreos.
Not the cookies, Chris. The birds.
Well, I personally wish it were the cookies, deep fried, at Jack Brown's across the street. So, all right. Well, let's take a break because Chip Walters is standing by, and we're off the rails at this point. So.
No, that never happens.
Blue Raider Network voice Chip Walters joins us next on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Come back to the Lee Company studio with us after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Well, that worked out really well. How about that? Mo Patton and Chris Yow, the penantless but World Series champion, Wade Neely.
Current, defending, yes.
For now, that is for now.
Hey, you got 158 more games to go. Or no, you got 157. Y'all haven't been off yet, so you've played 5. You get one more, 157 to continue.
At least.
Yeah. So there's that. But looking now to the to our favorite and sometimes called the most anticipated segment of the week. Going to the Real Property Solutions hotline with Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders. Chip, what's up?
Well, we're just a couple of boxes short of being the Brady Bunch here or Hollywood Squares, one of the two.
Where's
Wade Neely for the block?
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Showing your age now, Chip.
I had a chance to sit next to Mr. Neely during the state tournament this year. A lot of fun. So I was scouting, and he was broadcasting at the moment. I was trying to get an eyeball on the teams I was going to have on Saturday.
Yeah, and that was a really good tournament, and Giles County bows out to Douglas in the semifinals, and then Douglas Alcoa delivers one of the great championship games in recent memory.
It really was, and I was fortunate. I had the Independence game that day as well with Overton. And just, really ended up, I just got lucky this time around and had two really, really good games. And especially in the Alcoa game, the finish in that one, just right at the buzzer, couldn't get much better than that.
Chip, I was thinking late last night after the UConn San Diego State game got over with that college basketball season is over with, and it's a little hard to believe.
I know, and we're in much like NASCAR, we're diving into the silly season of college basketball now, and but it is. I mean, it does. It comes. It starts in November. You have that anticipation, and it kind of jumps in there, and you have to double up during November during football season, and then you've got 3 solid months and 3.5 solid months, I guess, and then the eliminations start taking place with conference tournaments, and you get into where the postseason is, and it comes to such an abrupt halt because when you think about it, on the men's side, there are 3 teams who finish their season with a win, and it's the NCAA champ, the NIT champ, and the CBI champ. Everybody else ends their season with a loss, and on the women's side, you've got the NCAA champion and the women's NIT champion. But, for only those very few teams does it end on a happy note. And but hope springs eternal as you get ready for the next year.
I tell you what, though, they showed Tracy Wolfson's post-game interview with Brian Dutcher, the coach at San Diego State, and for a team that lost, he was incredibly upbeat, I think, about the way things went and about his team and that kind of thing. I mean, he seemed to have a great outlook on it.
Might you even go as far to say he was classy?
He was very classy.
I agree.
Yeah, he was very complimentary of his team, very complimentary of UConn, very appreciative of the opportunity that they had. And Chris, you look like
I would
you
just
had
like to
something.
point out that there was a 4th team that won its last game, and that's Merrimack.
Okay.
Technically, they won their last game because they won the conference tournament before FDU took
their spot in the tournament. Yeah.
Of course we didn't. You're talking about they did in Division I, but obviously you've got the D2 and the D3 champions and that kind of thing as well.
Yes. I just thought that was interesting because I wouldn't have thought about it, but as I was scrolling through Twitter, as I want to do, I literally saw someone tweet Merrimack should get in a van and go challenge UConn. They can get there in less than 2 hours.
I don't think Merrimack wants that smoke.
They don't want the smoke.
I'm telling you, I agree with you, Mo, on Coach Dutch last night. I thought he was throughout this whole process. His openness and, kind of, giving it, telling you like it was very nice. We got a very limited amount of coach speak, and it's kind of against the unwritten rules now to give an inch and give your opponent credit. But he sure did last night. And I thought he was very gracious in his words. For that UConn team is really good, and he praised them, but did not short his own team. I thought he struck a really good balance.
Yeah, Chip Walters, voice of the Blue Raiders, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, and he's on the Real Property Solutions hotline. Chris, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay,
don't be mad at us, Chip. Sorry.
Yeah,
understand.
Yeah. Hey, Chip, a little closer to home as we continue to talk a little college basketball. More transfer portal news out of Murfreesboro yesterday.
There was, rather interestingly, verbal commits reported that Elias King had gone into the transfer portal. But Elias, I haven't checked it earlier today, but as of last night, he had never put anything out on his own Twitter account in the "that being said" template that's out there.
Respect my decision, right?
Yeah. That being said, I've had the most wonderful experience in my life. That being said, but no, he had not put that out there. So what that does, that puts Middle at 6 in the portal. Elias King, I think, was counted on. I think he was going to be counted on to be a key coming back next year. I think the coaching staff thought there was a real opportunity that Eli Lawrence might test the waters there. I haven't, there's kind of a lag period in between the time when folks go into the portal and they come out of the portal on the other side or wherever they might end up. But, I still think that with the way things are going, and I use, you can use LSU's women as an example. You have the opportunity to better your roster on almost a yearly basis. The downside is you don't have as much time to put in courting someone. While you may see their film and know what kind of basketball player you have, I really kind of long for the days where coaches build relationships with kids and their high school coach and they have a pretty good feeling about what they're going to get. So, last year there were over 1,700 kids that went in the men's transfer portal, which averages out to about 5 per school. This year so far, there are over 1,200 already in. And last year with the 1,700 that went in, there were about 700 that did not find a landing spot. So it'll be interesting to see, because they're projecting the number this year to be somewhere near 2,000 to go into the portal. And, and obviously the people start throwing up red flags. You see, okay, this guy's in the portal, this guy's going in the portal. Middle fans were a year ago were it was like, because Middle was one of 2 schools in the entire country. Middle and Navy did not lose anybody nor gain anybody in the portal. And this year there's, a bit of panic struck within the last week. But when you step back and you look at it, well, Middle is right now has kind of about the similar numbers that was the average across the country a year ago. And I was in Coach McDevitt's office yesterday and do know that they have already had numerous visits, both here on campus and going to meet kids. And they've got, a bunch more lined up. And also last night on Twitter, they did had a commitment from a high school kid that, ironically enough, is coming out of the same prep school that T. Leonard came from down in Texas. He's a 6'11" kid who, by all indications, can really shoot it, in addition to being a physical presence in the post, very much like the kid at Chattanooga, Jack Stevens, or Jacob Germany from UTSA, very similar to that, or even Vlad Golden at FAU to some degree, although Vlad's not a great 3-point shooter, he does have some range. So you hope that the number going out is now kind of come to a close, and you start getting the inbounds coming as well. But this all goes on till, you got about a month and 3 weeks left to go in this till about June 1st. So it is a process that most of us are not used to, and it can cause a little discomfort and heartburn along the way. But the coaches, talking to Coach McDevitt and his staff, they said that this is something that we've had to be prepared for, just in case once the legislation came in to put us in the landscape that we're in now.
Chip, you hit on it. A lot of heartburn for the coaches. I mean, that's got to be really an uncomfortable feeling, particularly when you're seeing guys continue to go out and you can't figure out how to stop the bleeding. It's just watching guys ride off into the sunset, it feels like.
Yeah, well, and it's that way everywhere. You feel like and you hear the new phrase, you have to recruit your own players back. And I've been around, college guys a long time, and they there sometimes can if one does something, well, the other, well, I've got to do that. And a lot of times I think if you ask, well, why, what was your reasoning? Well, I don't know. I just felt like I needed to do it. Well, okay. And I think sometimes players sometimes feel pressure that if they're not in the conversation of the portal or whatever, that they're being overlooked. And sometimes, to be very honest, some players get bad advice by folks who they get advice from that might tell them one thing that might not necessarily be true of where where could their talents find them as a landing spot. So that's interesting, and that's why I mentioned that earlier. Last year you had about 700 that found no place to go. So you put yourself out there a little bit, and of course you also have to make sure that if you're doing that, especially if you're going into the portal as a grad transfer, that you have graduated. And that's an important key to that, because it's not like you're going as a grad transfer and can go to wherever and finish up and graduate. No, you have to graduate where you are before you can go as a grad transfer. So there's boxes that have to be checked along the way. And believe me, I am no expert on this, but I know just enough to be dangerous. And you gain a little more
That's our
education
tagline, Chip.
Do what? That's your tagline?
We're not experts, but we know enough to be dangerous.
That's exactly. I can see where that would be right, but it is a fluid process that for those of us who are in a certain age group that we're just not used to.
Got that right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it makes sense. Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, joining us here on Main Street Sports today on the Real Property Solutions Hotline. Chip, good weekend for the baseball team.
I know they bounce back after being swept at FAU. They come back and they sweep FIU. And have you heard how the game ended on Saturday, or on Sunday rather?
No, I just saw the score.
Yeah, that game went to the ninth, 8-8, and FIU scored 4 in the top of the ninth. Middle comes back in the bottom of the ninth, scores 5, including 1 on a pass ball. The game-winning run scored on a bases-loaded walk. There were 2 mid-at-bat pitching changes in the ninth inning. It had just a little bit of everything in it, and it ended in as Skip Carey would say, in a rather inauspicious way when the Blue Raiders got the winning run, walked home, but it took them from being in a 4-way tie for 4th into now a 4-way tie for 3rd in Conference USA. UTSA is still 8-1. Dallas Baptist is 6-3. Then you've got Middle, FAU, Rice, and Charlotte are all just a game back of Dallas Baptist. And now this week, because of Easter, most of the series are going to be played Thursday, Friday, Saturday instead of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the other unique twist of the schedule this year, because because of the number of teams, you have 10 teams, which means you have 9 opponents. And if you're going to play 30 games, you have to play somebody twice, and you play your historic rival. So Middle, who has already beaten Western Kentucky 2 out of 3, will travel to Bowling Green Thursday, Friday, Saturday for their second series with the Hilltoppers.
Well, over the weekend for his efforts, Eston Snyder, 7 for 10 in the series, had a heck of a weekend. with 2 extra base
Tennessee
hits.
Sports Writers Association player
6
of the week.
RBIs and 7 runs, and he was named TSWA Sport Player of the Week. Good week, and of course Sunday he went 5 for 5. Got the game tying. Was it the game tying RBI in the 8th inning to send it to the 9th? So he was kind of important.
And your favorite Blue Raider catcher was 0 for 4 on Sunday, but
two
drew the
walks.
walk that drove in the winning run. How
You'll
about
take
that?
it.
The old walk-off walk.
That's right. And it reminds me of what Steve Peterson used to say when something like that happened. That's baseball.
No doubt. No doubt. Chip, as always, your time here is exciting and fun, but we're kicking you out.
I just try to bring a little something to the table every week. And
well, we
no
appreciate
question.
that too, because we like being at the table.
there you go. There you go. Which, by the way, I need to.
And let's say this: sometimes the table is pretty empty too, so we appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, guys, and good to see Mr. Neely on there, and we'll catch you all here shortly.
Thank you, Chip.
Appreciate you.
All right, we've got
walk-off walk.
Walk-off walk, yes.
You gotta love the walk-off walks. Again, that was the Real Property Solutions Hotline, a local real estate investment group that will pay cash for all types of properties. They can close on your timeline, whether it's 7 days or 70. Give them a call, 615-805-5961, 615-805-5961. It's now time for Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by our friends at Mid-South 5 Fitness. Of course, Thal is still in the gang, at Still Athletes and stillathletes.com, at Still Athletes on Instagram. Again, that's STEEL Athletes. Today we go to the worst calls in sports history, and I've only got a few here, so I don't know if Wade got the memo, but we're going to be drafting our top 5, and you have to know what that means.
Now, what prompted this exactly?
Well, I'm assuming the poor officiating that we got in the NCAA basketball tournaments, and the one guy who called out the women's officials.
Yeah, that was pretty strong. I did not expect that, but he went pretty hard on the women's officials, and thought it was kind of interesting.
I thought it was a
Nicole Auerbach has an article on theathletic.com regarding a former director of tournament officials for the men's.
Dude wasn't playing around.
No, he was not. He didn't pull any punches. So
No, he did not. So that's what we'll go with today. Justin, are you there?
I am, yes. I was also going to say, kind of triggered from the technical fouls from over the past weekend with Caitlin Clark, and that's mainly why I thought about it. Just to very controversial. Shaq's going off on people on Twitter.
So we'll draft, and we will start. We'll let the new guy draft first.
Well, considering we've had a little bit of Braves chatter earlier today, I had to do a little bit of Googling, but I always remember the old infamous Levon Hernandez game, and Mr. Eric Gregg will be my first selection. If nothing else, I just get under y'all's skin a little bit today.
He who shall not be named on this show.
That is
he was on my list, though.
Good one.
He was on my list.
Who next?
Right, Mo, go ahead.
I'm going to stay with the Braves and go back to the 1991 World Series where Kent Herbeck lifted Ron Gant off of first base and got the call for the out there. And yeah, that was bad. So
Justin, since it was your topic, you get to go last.
All right. Okay.
I'm going to go with Jim Joyce, Armando Galarraga.
Yep. It's a good one. Was on my list.
Yeah, that was his goal. He's going to knock out your list before you get to it.
What you got, Justin?
I'm going to go with the Tuck rule just because of how impactful it was.
Okay.
Launched Brady's career, right?
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah. His
basically
tabloid career. I'm just kidding.
All right,
Wade.
Back to the top. I'm going to go with the infamous fifth down. Colorado back in the day, right? Show my age a little bit there, but we'll go with
1990. It was on my list.
Was also on mine.
Yeah.
Mo?
I'm going to endear myself to some Vanderbilt fans right here, and it may not be the last time. Jeff Green walked on the game-winning basket of Georgetown Vanderbilt in 2007 in the Sweet 16 up in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
You better be glad you took it when you did, because it was my next one.
Yeah.
Just to no, I'm kidding. I wasn't going to take it. Oh, man. I'm going to go with Dez caught it.
Who was that against?
I was against Packers.
Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. All right. Justin?
The reason I knew that, well, I didn't know that because of this, but mine also is with the Packers and the Seahawks, the Fail Mary.
The final game before the real officials came back.
The infamous picture of
Thank God they did.
I think that's what did it.
Reception, the other one saying touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah. Wade, number 3. Wait.
Oh, I thought I muted myself. Well, I did not come prepared, so I might have to take an incomplete. I am, however, Googling the NFL. This is just an interesting point of contention amongst our crew, I would say here, though. According to Bleacher Report, they say the most controversial call is, in fact, the Music City Miracle. I don't know that I would consider it a blown call. As a matter of fact, I consider it a very just call. But
I saw that on a couple of lists and
wasn't on mine.
Bunch of haters.
Yes.
Bunch of haters.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all right. We can get you. Mo can go, and then we'll get back to you.
I'm gonna stay in the Vanderbilt realm. In the Swamp, 2005, Earl Bennett's game-tying touchdown, or should have been game-tying touchdown, and his excessive celebration that kept them from going for 2 for the win there. Yeah.
Yep, I'm with you there. I'm gonna go with number 3. I've got Auburn, Virginia.
Ty Jerome.
Yep. Speaking
Double
of guys who went over, who screwed up in the NCAA tournament, over and back, and yeah. Anyway, Auburn, Virginia.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with. All right, let me take y'all back to 2017, Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final, where Colton Sissons makes the first goal of the game, and the refs just wave it off and pretend like it didn't happen. It was very unfortunate, and some would say took the gas out of the room, and we lost. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, they just waved it off. They had no explanation. They were like, "It's just not a goal."
Wade, do you have a 3?
Yeah. As a high schooler, I was a fan of Chris Webber and Jason Williams back in the day, and I'll never forget Mr. Tim Donaghy robbing the Sacramento Kings versus the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals.
I guess he had money on that one.
He got his.
And that's not just a blown call. That's I don't even know where that would necessarily fit on the list. There were so many travesties or injustices in that series there.
Yeah. Do you have a 4?
Yeah, 4th. I was in Knoxville when Mr. Jabbar Gaffney for the Florida Gators caught a pass on the goal line, and if it were instant replay reviewed in today, it would have been about a 2-second review, and they probably would have said no catch, but as it were, they ruled it a catch, and no mustard bottles were thrown on the field that day, but we came pretty close if you were a UT fan. Jabbar Gaffney and the Gators with the phantom catch beat the Vols in Knoxville.
Mo?
Braves beat Pittsburgh in 19 innings in July 2011 on a play where Julio Lugo still hasn't gotten to the plate.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. All right. I'm going to go with Reggie Drummer. You are like, who? The umpire from the New Orleans, Mississippi Valley State game that rung up the
yeah.
Timely.
Gotta go, yeah. Little recency bias. Justin?
Yep.
I was going to try to pull the picture, but it's Kevin Dyson reaching for the 1-yard line. The Titans got that touchdown, beat the Rams. Game over. We get
okay, maybe.
I don't think that's a blown call, but that's okay. We're going to give you that one.
All right. And number 5.
Wade,
Wade.
you got a 5?
No, not just yet. Come back to me.
Go, Mo.
Jordan pushed off against Brian Russell in the Jazz in '98 for that shot.
His momentum, though.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm gonna go with the
No,
19.
it's not your turn, so that's okay. I don't care what you do. No, keep going so I can just steal it real quick.
You want me to go? All right,
No.
Kidding.
Oh, okay.
Miami, Duke, where the officials missed like 4 different calls, and Duke won the game on those laterals where the one dude was even down, like he had his whole knee on the ground, and they didn't call him down, and Duke ended up winning the game. So, and the ACC office had to put out a whole statement. And anyway, Miami Duke laterals.
Nice. I'm gonna say 1972 USA basketball team. Soviet Union.
Yeah, Soviet Union.
Classic, right? Sleeper, huh?
Wade?
That'd have been a good one, and this will go under recency and homer bias for me. But I'm still waiting on Michigan to get another play or two at the end of that TCU game for the targeting call that TCU was not dinged for. Michigan should have been given. Now they would not have scored. Probably there was, I think, like 10 seconds left in the game, but still waiting on that play as a Michigan fan for that to come in. So the TCU officiating crew from the semifinal this year.
There you go. There's Top 5 Tuesday. Mid-South 5 Fitness. Thal is still in the fine folks there. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We're way over time. So we will say goodbye. So long. Farewell. Adios. See you tomorrow again at 2 o'clock here on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We will be back to the Lee Company studio then. Have a good one.